Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live stream. We are having a bit of problem. Our guest tonight, Peter Eastoe, hasn't turned up yet, so we think there might be some technical difficulties at his end. So what we'll do is we'll just give him a couple of minutes and see if he actually does join us or not. Just a couple of things that has been in the news today that you might not have seen. Our match against Exeter on Boxing Day has been postponed. Exeter now have positive COVID in their camp as well. And the new date for the Warsaw game, which was postponed from Saturday, is on the 22nd of February. I know there's been some issues with the ticketing today. I've seen on Twitter and things. I don't know anything official, but just a couple of things that they've said, that they've extended the season tickets and the half-season flexi tickets till until Thursday. So general sale will go on sale on Thursday evening. And they've actually said about a number for the tickets. I don't know if they're getting a few people ringing a wrong number. So the number for the tickets is 0300 002 1879. 0300 002 1879, and you press 1 for ticketing. So I don't know if they've had a few problems with that on there. I know when I've done my today, my season ticket, I had to go into notifications to find my reserve seat. So that might be an option if people are having a problem online. Right, let me just bring Vic on and we'll decide what we do for this evening. Hi, Vic.
Hi, Chris. How are you? I hope you're okay. You're okay. That's the main thing. Yes.
Yes, I am. Just to let everybody know, I do have COVID. I tested positive, so I'm in isolation. But that hasn't stopped me speaking to you all this evening. So yeah, but I'm feeling okay. Just feels like a slight cold, really, but hopefully it won't change. But yeah, so.
Well, we wish you well, Chris. All the very best.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hoping to get Mr. Eastoe on. We hadn't heard to the contrary, so he was expecting to be with us, or we were expecting him to be with us. So we're just waiting to see if he can connect, etc., etc. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us. If you've got any questions about, or do you want to make any comments about the events at the County Grand today, I was in the queue for about an hour and a half before we eventually got through and got the tickets online. So at least those tickets were ordered online and able to then, thankfully, come out of the queue and then have an email to confirm that the tickets were being sent out. But I know there have been huge issues today. But as Chris was saying, they've extended the window for season ticket holders till Thursday evening. So there we are. This is from Rob. That number isn't recognised. Tried it several times today. So they are having massive problems.
Yeah, that was taken from Twitter, the one the club put out. So I can certainly text somebody this evening and just make sure, see what that's, see if they can find out what's wrong with that.
So. I mean, if you were in that queue today, it was very long. I mean, it was snaking all across the car park when I managed to get the ticket sorted. And so I know people were there for a very long time and obviously getting quite frustrated, quite a cold day. It seemed that though the service in the club shop was quite slow, even though you can't blame the staff. They were having several issues with the machines as well, as I think. So very difficult times. And obviously it's a very small window for people to get their tickets for the Man City game.
Yeah, and I don't really know what the answer is for it. I think there seem to be, from what I've seen on social media, a lot of people trying to get through on the phone. And I suppose if they were trying to get in on the phone and everybody was trying to get in on the phone, there is obviously going to be problems. It's not a call centre, so you haven't got hundreds of people answering it. But that's not an excuse, by the way. That's just my observation. But yeah, I don't know. And I know there's been problems with the internet, with the actually booking tickets through that. So with linked accounts and not showing family tickets and things, but I'm sure they're doing all they can to sort it, but it's very frustrating for everybody. I can understand that.
From Robbie, I got my tickets at 10 a.m. They'll be posted out on the 28th. So that is Tuesday, I think, isn't it? We're all going to get a paper ticket, Rob Angus told us last week. And that will be dispatched to your address, which is linked to your season ticket on the website. So from Tom, all down to years of underfunding. Hopefully we'll get sorted, but needs a complete revamp. I think it's fair to say, Chris, that throughout this season they've said, haven't they, that this has all happened very quickly. They've got to get the systems up and running. And what they really needed was a full pre-season to sort this out. But of course, they didn't have very long, did they?
Yeah, and I think it goes down to the fact that they had to change all the computers and all the tills in the shops had to be redone and everything. So I think it's just a sort of a conglomeration of everything. And yeah, I think if they had a lot more staff, but you've only got so many lines going into the to the shop. So if you got 6 lines, but only 3 phones or whatever, it's only 3 people that can answer them. So, and I've just seen on here, called the office 6 in line, all sorted within 30 minutes. So there are people who are being very lucky and getting through. So it's just the maybe when you ring or something like that. But yeah.
From Mark, would like to say a big thank you very much to all town players for a signed shirt for our nephew Daniel from Chiselden, who helps clean the buses for Barnes coaches. Very good, Daniel. Good work.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Lovely.
That's a lovely
nice.
Christmas present for him. It's not an easy job, I shouldn't think. So, yeah.
Especially when you and I have been on it, Chris.
Yeah.
I guess this is the comment that you saw. Called the office 6 in line. Was all sorted in 30 minutes. Great service. So that's from Glover. Any more comments you want to put on there? We'll give Mr. Eastoe a little while, because it might well be that in the West Midlands the internet service isn't as it is here. So we'll give him a little while before we realise that he's not going to join us tonight, which would be a great disappointment. This is from Terry. What is the possibility of the game actually going ahead? What happens if it's called off? Goodness me, Chris, that's a big question, isn't it?
Well, yes. We know now, as the news today, there isn't going to be any replay, so it's got to be sort of settled on the day. I don't know. The only thing is Man City have got a big squad. But again, Premier League games are being called off for COVID as well. So you just don't know what the situation is going to be like at that time, or if we're going to go into lockdown. I think this one. So I don't know.
Yeah. And the latest, I think, from the government tonight was that they haven't made a decision about extra measures between now and Christmas, but it's a day-to-day thing. So who knows what the situation is going to be like after Christmas. We know that Boxing Day is off for extra because of COVID, but we don't know what's going to happen after Christmas, the 27th, etc. We're supposed, of course, to play Stevenage on the 29th, aren't we, at home? Yeah. At the moment that's on, but who knows what's going to happen. From Stephen, honeymoon period this season, next season needs to be better, and I think the club would recognise that, would they not? I mean, we all need these big games. We all want these big games. Yeah. But when they arrive, of course, it throws up a lot of problems, doesn't it? Which we had Rob Angus on last week, and he was talking about the problems that they flow up. Extra policing, extra stewarding, extra COVID measures, of course, with people's passports being checked as they go in.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. So lots of problems being brought up.
I know the club are working on the stewarding and things for future games, because we've got a supporters club meeting on Wednesday, and that's one of the questions that we've been asked about. So we'll look at how we can actually do the passes and everything as they go through. So they're working on options for that as well.
Worth noting, extra time and penalties. Who would take our 5? Interesting question.
Jack, and Jack.
Yeah,
that's my ideal.
Yeah, traditionally, although it's worth noting that Jack Payne missed at Cambridge in the League Cup earlier this season.
Oh, so, I know, and I have faith in him.
We aren't good at penalty shootouts, are we? Let's be honest. This from Kerry. I queued today for 2 hours and the banter was fab. All were being polite and patient, had all 3 tills open. The staff didn't stop. System kept crashing due to the online sales at the same time. But hey, people forget how far we've come since August. But yes, it was a tad cold. Yeah, and we had very interesting and very nice conversations with people, and all seemed to be quite pleasant. And you know, we weren't there later on, of course, in the day when people have been out. But I understand Mr. Morfuni came out with some donuts and some coffee a little bit later on.
Nice.
So that was okay.
But you remember, Vic, back in the day before the internet, when we had to queue for tickets round the block and everything. It's I know youngsters will say, "Oh, we can't do that anymore," but that's how it used to be. And
yeah, I have to say my back isn't quite what it used to be, Chris, either.
I know.
Yeah. From Gordon, couldn't get my own seat as per my season ticket, had to book another seat. Editor has said, not mine, I hope. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I got in, and you go to it says one reserved ticket, doesn't it?
Yeah, you go into notifications. I had to go in under your profile, and it says you've got it's reserved for you there. But I suppose I don't know if anybody else is different. So, but just Jack Roberts, thank you very, very much. I knew you wouldn't have forgotten me, and I'm looking forward to my little red squirrel.
Okay. You're going to let us into that, or is that not?
Jack owns Red Squirrel Plumbing.
Right.
He's the sponsor for the back of the new blackout shirts, and he's promised me a little. There was a little squirrel on the promotional videos, and I said how nice it was. So Jack's getting me one.
Oh, that's very nice. Well done.
Yeah.
This is from Helen. My account is lined to my son's online. Couldn't get my actual season ticket seats, but the next 2 seats along. Have emailed the club for my seats. And from Carl, claiming your season ticket is not obvious online. You need to click on the account icon top right, and your seat is reserved, which is what I eventually did and managed to get through. So there we are. Those are comments coming in. Please feel free to keep coming in with those comments. From Tony, good that season ticket window has been extended. After that, do they go on general sale? Yes, is the answer to that, I think, don't they? After the Thursday, they go on general sale.
Thursday evening, they go on general sale.
Yeah.
And I think somebody put on Twitter the plans and seeing what the ticket situation was like. But I think it's a bit misleading, because I think people are changing their seats from the season ticket ones. Maybe they couldn't get those, and so they're looking for another 2 seats together. So there is a bit misleading that there aren't there's a lot gone. But I know that up till lunchtime, I think it was 3,000 tickets had been sold. So it's pretty good in that from 10 to sort of 1, I think it was.
Just to explain, the reason why we're talking about this is we were expecting Peter Eastoe along. Great player from the past, and many people were excited about him being on tonight's live stream. He hasn't appeared yet. We still are keeping our fingers crossed, because I wanted to speak to the great man in a rather schoolboy way and said, "Hello, Mr. Eastoe, how are you?" But he's not appeared yet. So we have contacted him, and we are waiting for a reply.
That's why I keep checking my phone to see if he's answered me. And Pete's on the other line, left a message for him. We've emailed him, so we are losing every point in system trying to get through to him. So
apart from driving to the West Midlands ourselves physically and sorting him out on the line there.
Yeah.
This is from Glover. This is how you do it when you go online. Click on tickets, then profile. Underneath the next game, it shows 1 reserved ticket. That is your seat. And I think that's what confused people, because when you look on that, it just says Stevenage, doesn't it? And it says 1 reserved ticket. So you might immediately think that is your ticket for the Stevenage game. You see what I mean? But that 1 reserved ticket is your ticket for the Manchester City game, and it shows your seat. So that's how eventually I got in.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So
So
what we'll try and do is, if we don't get hold of anybody this evening, there is a traditional carol concert up at Christchurch tonight, from 6:30 to 7:30. So that's why we haven't been able to get anybody to speak to and get any sort of statements or anything. So, but I will try tonight, and I'll put it on the Supporters Club Twitter and Facebook how to get into it. If we can. So
Yes, and if we can't get Mr. Eastoe tonight, we will physically drive up to the West Midlands and get him on another night, I think, because he's such a great man, and many people wanted to hear from him tonight. Shall I read out a couple of comments that I had? Oh, apparently he's on the way, so that's it. We'll leave.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so hopefully very shortly we'll be speaking to Mr. Eastoe.
Oh, right, brilliant. Does that come from Pete, has it? I haven't.
Yes, it has. So
brilliant.
He's on his way. So we're really pleased about that. And
I'm glad we stayed on the line then. And
yes,
maybe the people listening aren't, but hey,
he's got the email just now, so he's sorting it out.
Oh, right, okay.
As soon as he gets lined up, we'll be talking to Peter Eastoe. But we have had lots to talk about tonight. So it's been quite a busy day. What with one thing and another. Obviously, we don't know things what will happen after Christmas. We don't know what situation we'll be in, but all we can tell you is the situation that we know at the moment. And that Boxing Day game at Exeter is off. I can tell you that their game tomorrow night in the EFL Trophy also is off against Portsmouth. So they were due to play them in the second round tomorrow, but that's off as well.
Because it's in the Exeter camp, isn't it? They've got
yes, it is.
COVID,
yeah. This is from Adi. Why have the price of tickets gone up? Well, this, I think, was explained by Rob Angus last week. It was a week ago, but I think they took the view that there are lots of extra costs incurred by the football club because of this game, and they thought long and hard about it. But, Adi, if you want to go and listen to what Rob Angus had to say, you can have a look on our Facebook page to have a look at that interview from last week. Have a look on YouTube as well, the Official Supporters Club YouTube channel. And that interview's on there. So Rob Angus explains on there the decision that they made. So if you want to go on there and have a look after this interview with Peter Eastoe, you can do that. This is from Andy. Who remembers the good old 70s and 80s? Seemed like we were queued up at the counter going every week to get big game tickets. No internet. Those were the days. We were talking about that earlier on, Chris, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
1969 League Cup final tickets, Leeds United quarter-final of the FA Cup tickets, Arsenal at home in the fourth round or third round of the FA Cup, 32,000 people there. Those tickets, lots of queuing up in those days for hours and hours and hours.
I used to send my poor mum down there to stand there because I couldn't get the time off work some of that time I was at school. But when I started work, I couldn't get it. Right, hang on, Vic. I think I've got Peter.
Oh, marvellous.
Right, I'm going to bring him straight on, okay?
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. We're just waiting for that little circle to... there he is.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hiya, Peter. Sorry, we've had to put you straight on live, so sorry about that. So okay. So I'm going to leave you with Vic, who you spoke to the other day. Pleased to meet you anyway, and I will come back in a short while. Okay.
Peter, are you there? We've got you at last. Thank goodness for you. You've frozen a little bit, but you appear to be with us now. Very good evening to you.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I've got to tell you, there was a great deal of excitement when we mentioned that we've got you on this tonight from many people who remember you. And, you know, for those of us of a certain age, it's just great to be able to talk to you. And this is coming from Daz, and it goes quite simply, Eastoe, Eastoe. You will remember that cry.
I do, yeah. Back in... I think it's been 48 years now, so it's a long time ago. But, yeah, the Swindon fans were brilliant to me. I can't thank them enough, really. And it showed in the goals I got for them, really.
Well, let me go through some of the comments I had on Twitter when we said that we were going to have you on. This is from Graham Scott, and he says, my first town match, aged 5, was Peter Eastoe's debut against Carlisle United. He scored twice and was instantly my hero. Now, we're going to get to your signing very shortly, and we'll talk about that game because I, too, was there. Yeah. It wasn't a great time for the club, but, you know, this is from Nikki Seeley. Evening, Peter, Nikki says. So let's talk about your career first and foremost, and then we'll get some of the comments, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's okay,
Yeah, born in Dordon in Tamworth in 1953. Position striker. a very good striker in brackets. And Wolverhampton Wanderers, who is where you started. Tell us about how you got signed up by Wolves.
Well, I got signed up from Wolves. I was due to work. Well, I was working at the time at 16. I was training 2 nights a week at Wolves. That was a Tuesday and Thursday, and I've got to thank my brother and my father for that, because they took me all the way from Dordon in Tamworth to Wolves to train 2 nights a week. Now, that's a round trip of about 60 miles, so it wasn't much fun for them. Though they were watching me training, I think they always, well, my dad especially, I always hoped they wanted to sign me, really. And eventually they did at 16. I wasn't too keen on going every week. And when I was working, I thought, well, I want to, just work, but my dad forced me to go. And eventually they did sign me. They did sign him on an apprenticeship.
Now, were you a Wolves fan?
Well, I don't think you become a fan. I think you just want to go in your career. You want to make it in football if you could. And eventually, I got signed, as I said, at 16. And I think you become a Wolves fan, though you want to progress in your career. Eventually, you want to become a professional, and eventually, I did.
Yeah, you did make a few appearances for Wolves, didn't you? And you were an England Youth International, so it was a decent start.
Yes, I had a great start. There was Trevor Francis up front, myself, and Don Shanks, and a number of players who played in the team, Bobby Parker. And we won the World Cup in Czechoslovakia, so things went really good. But unfortunately for me, my career didn't take off from there to I mean, I was only young at the time, and my career didn't. They signed me pro, but it didn't take off for 2 years, really.
So then a club called Swindon come in for you. I think it was Les Allen who signed you on loan, wasn't it? And
That's right.
Tell us how that move came about.
Well, the gaffer, Bill McGarry, he wanted to sign me on a full-time contract, professional, which I was chuffed to bits with. And but things, as I said, after 2 years, wasn't going anywhere. I was playing in the reserves quite a lot and doing quite well in the reserves. And Swindon came in for me, and the gaffer wanted me to go there to get experience, really. And I certainly got that in the first game. I think it taught me professional football, really, how to look after yourself.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that first game, because I remember it very well. I mean, it was a pretty rubbish season for Swindon, to be fair, wasn't it? It was, struggling big time. But in comes somebody called Peter Eastoe on loan from Wolves. Frank Clark got both goals for Carlisle that day, but you had a bit of a dream debut, 2 goals against Carlisle United. I was in the town end and thought, who's this Peter Eastoe? And then you get those 2 goals. Tell us about that debut.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew me up till that point, really. And fortunately for me, I got 2 goals. I was well pleased with the atmosphere more than anything, the crowd, the atmosphere at the club. And that really sort of set me up. As you said, I got 2 goals. And the unfortunate thing for me was I broke my cheekbone, which was I had to miss another month. So I went back to Wolves, and then eventually I came back to Swindon.
So do you think that month you were out, I mean, I'm not, but that month you were out, would that have helped the club, do you think?
Yes, I think that helped me as well as the club. I wanted to have more of what I've just played in, really. I played for a month, and I played for a game, let's put it like that. And I was out for the rest of the month. And then I wanted to come back and do some more of what I've started, really. And that was
you had a decent record, didn't you? Because you had a goal every 2 games, I think, in that loan spell, which is pretty good.
that was a bit impressive for me because I'm usually one every three, and so I got to Swindon, and eventually I think Bill McGalley brought me back for a European game, and I was a bit surprised by that because when I got back, I really didn't play in the game. I didn't. I was substitute. So as me being on loan to Swindon for another month, I came back to Wolves, and I didn't play in the game which he brought me back for, really, which was a surprise. So I was a bit sort of confused, really.
Well, I always remember this, reading in the back of the Evening Advertiser in March of that year, that Danny Williams, who'd taken over as manager by then, Les Allen had gone, signed you for £88,000. And I've got to tell you, I did a little jump up in the air. I was quite pleased about that news. So how were you?
Well, I had enough to go down to Swindon. As you say, they wanted to sign me. I think it's a March deadline, I think it was. And, well, it always used to be anyway. So I think it was March. And Oxford came in for me as well. The manager was Jerry Summers. He was at Wolves for a spell. And Oxford came in for me. And Swindon came in for me, which was nice to know, really. I mean, so... But I decided on Swindon, obviously, because I had a good spell there beforehand.
You had a great spell there, yeah. So when you became a permanent Swindon player, I mean, gosh, did you ever think about going to that other club that Jerry Summers managed?
No, I didn't even think about it, really. There's only one club for me, really. I had a good spell there initially when I scored the 2 goals and broke a cheekbone. Then further on in my career, months later, things went still quite well, and there's no other club really I wanted to go to.
Well, let me read some of the comments then. This is from Pete. Up front with Trevor Francis. Whatever happened to him? He never got to play for Swindon. I wonder where he went, Trevor Francis.
I think he went for about £1 million, didn't he?
Yeah, he did all right, didn't he? He had quite a decent career, I think.
Yeah,
would you? Gosh, I'll read some of the comments and we'll continue on with your days at Swindon. Would he prefer to play in this era? What does he think of football today? Does he still go to and watch games? Are you still involved in watching?
Yes, I do go and watch games. I think there's a lot on television now, and it does highlight the pitfalls of the game and sort of highlights the professionalism in the game. Really, it's really quite interesting to watch the television because you can see things after you've been a pro. What goes on in the game, sort of. What they're saying, you're thinking, if you know what I mean. They're thinking, they're saying what you're thinking, and you can see it yourself what should be happening. But it's strange, really.
Let's have a look. Now, I got this. Leafer simply says, Eastoe, great finisher, worked his off. So there we are. Everybody loves you, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
Eastoe was the first chance I remember as a Town fan. Loved him as a player. Those West Ham Cup games were special. Well done for getting him on, and we're delighted to have you on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is from Steve. He really was my hero. His dummy and twist and turn. Magical Eastoe. There we are. This is from Craig. Still remember the haunting Eastoe chant from the Town end in the seasons after he left. He'd have already scored 20 this season with the service he'd got. There are more comments second by second. Now let's talk about the following season because Danny Williams had taken over, and put together a really. And I have to say, one of my favourite Town teams. This is, this is a side. This isn't it? The likes of Trevor Anderson, yourself, Dave Syrett, the late great Dave Syrett, Dave Moss. That Sun team, Colin Profit, people like that.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't know David passed away.
Yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago, sadly.
I didn't know that. I haven't heard from anybody really. No, I mean, they were really good players. When they signed Trevor from Man United, that was a big signing for us, I think. I was there on full time then, and Trevor signed, and I think Colin Profit came from somewhere as well. These players were really good players. I mean, not not just run of the mill. They played at a higher level, and also we had John Trollope and the rest of them. So really good blend of Frank Burrows, and a really good blend of players, really.
Yeah, you had Jim Barron in goal, of course, who'd had a great career with Forest.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, we had Jim, and we had a good side, and we had John McLaughlin at the fullback, and I'll keep in touch with John, so everything's good.
Yeah. Now I have to ask you this. We'll get onto the West Ham Cup tie in a minute, but I've got to ask you this: why do you think the tide never went up?
I think you just need that little bit of luck sometimes in football, and we just didn't quite get the right breaks at the right time. We'd probably lose 4-3, 3-2, and things like that instead of going the other way. And perhaps we wasn't hungry enough for it, really. And I'm not just saying the rest of the players, perhaps me as well. Sometimes I was quite a good, I was scoring goals for fun at the time, and I could have sort of done a little bit more to push us up there, really. I know a lot of goals is a lot of goals, but a few more would be handy.
Well, 31 goals is a lot of goals. That's a decent season for a striker, isn't it?
Yeah, I was so pleased with that record. I mean, of course, Mossy was just putting them on me head, really. I mean, whether it was on my head or foot, he was putting them on a plate sometimes. And funny enough, I didn't take any penalties on that, and which is I didn't want to, really.
Well, I watched the. Let's talk about that cup tie West Ham, because I watched it the other day just to refresh my memory. Yeah. And basically, you played on a glue pot, didn't you? I mean, the pitch was horrific, wasn't it? And one thing I'd forgotten was Trevor Anderson.
It wasn't good at Swindon.
No.
True enough.
But Trevor Anderson had gone through. He was clean through on goal, and Tommy Taylor pulled him back. Yeah. And this was before West Ham scored. Now, of course, Tommy Taylor these days would have been sent off.
Yeah. Which is that's unbelievable, really. When you think about that, we had a chance to get 2-0 up, and he's pulled him back. I mean, there's no way you'd get away with it in these days now. But Trevor was a really good player, and how he played in that mud was unbelievable, really. I mean, that's West Ham's game as well. The West Ham pitch wasn't that good, and a number of pitches. But nowadays they seem to get the pitches in perfect condition, because I don't think the reserves play on them, but they're in perfect condition, and you could play really good football on them now.
Trevor Anderson, he was one of these players who was given the nickname the new George Best, of course, which is never a. Yeah. I mean, that's quite a weight to hang around your neck.
Yeah, it's an handicap already, really. I mean, you could do without that.
Yeah,
being the new George Best, and I remember that quote as well. Coming here, and you could do without it, really. There's enough pressure on you playing games as it is.
But he was a fabulous player, wasn't he? I mean, I
yes, but he could glide over sort of mud like he wasn't there, and it's a really good player.
Yeah. Right, let's go through some of these then. And we should say, of course, at Upton Park, this is from James. The most memorable Peter Eastoe goal for me is the one at Upton Park against a very good West Ham side. Now, this is a side with Brooking in it, Mervyn Days in goal. You've got a whole host of people who played for West Ham in those days. Billy Jennings had put them in front. Then you got the equaliser later on. Tell us about that equaliser.
Well, I just struck it so nicely, and I kept it low, and I just had to keep it low, and I took it in my stride and just placed it really well. And that's what I tended to do throughout my career, really, is place the ball more than sort of hit it as hard as you can. But I think the balls are a little bit different now. In them days, they didn't move so much, where in nowadays, they seem to swerve a little bit and bend, but I don't know. But in them days, you couldn't bend it and twist it, and if you bent it, it could end up in the stand, I think
it was David Mossy put the cross in as well, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think Mossy played it in, and I put it away. But I remember the game. I have seen the game before, and I think it was the replay, down at West Ham. And it was quite a good game.
And the replay, of course, I was crammed into the town end that night, and I think Trevor Rooking scored, didn't he? Trevor Anderson got one for Swindon, but sadly it was a 2-1 defeat, but still a decent performance.
Yeah, decent performance against a good first division team, really. I think they were a very good team, but we held our own up, and we did well that game.
Did they win? They won the cup that year, if I remember rightly, didn't they? Didn't they go on to beat Fulham in the cup final?
Oh, they might have done. Yeah, I think they might have done. I'm not too sure on that, but they're a pretty useful side.
Yeah, I should have checked it before we came on. Bad research on my point. Right, let's get into some of these points. Now, this is from Andrew. Boxing Day, 1975. We've had news today that Swindon's game at Exeter on Boxing Day is off because of COVID, but no such problems in those days, of course. An overhead kick, Boxing Day, 1975. Do you remember that one?
Not really. Exeter. Was it Exeter?
It was Cardiff, I think. I'm just going to scroll through the stuff here. I can't find it. Oh, yeah. Swindon 4, Cardiff 0. That's right. An overhead kick.
That was a good result. I'm pleased with an overhead kick, but I did practice them a lot, but I used to end up on my backside more than kicking the ball. But it is an art, and when I saw Rooney's goal for Manchester United, it was absolutely unbelievable goal. Whether he caught it on the shin or not, it still was going in the top corner, isn't it? So, I was well pleased to get an overhead kick. I used to love it.
Yeah. If you get a chance, go and see Rory Fallon's overhead kick against Bristol City for Swindon on YouTube. Yeah, that's an absolute cracker, that one. Right. This is from Pete. Amazing that we don't sign players for 88,000 today, and Swindon very rarely sign a player like that. I mean, that's an amazing amount of money.
I don't know what they go for nowadays, to be honest. I don't know in the lower leagues, obviously. I know in the high leagues, but in the lower leagues, I'm not too sure what they go for. So I think if they spend the amount of money they spent on me, they'd get a bargain, I think.
From Peter, so I was born in 1970. My memories of Peter Eastoe are from my older brothers, who would say that, who would keep going on about Peter Eastoe and David Moss, and people still do talk about you with great fondness.
Be nice.
Yeah, this is from Andrew. Written on the hut behind the town end, Eastoe for England. Did you ever get a sniff at England Youth International? Played with Trevor. Did anybody come in?
I was. I think throughout my career, I did try and my very best for every club. And when I went up to Goodison, I think there was a spell where I scored a few goals. I think it was 16 goals in the league, and I might have been having a chance to play for England, or let's get a look in. Let's put it like that. And I think there might have been a chance, but it all fell a bit flat, really. It's difficult to get into the England team in that era, as it is now, really.
Yeah.
But in those days, they had a lot of good strikers, and I found it very difficult to get in the side. That's all.
So 31 goals, and obviously that means that people are starting to pay attention. Of one Peter Eastoe, and as you've mentioned, a move to Everton, Queen's Park Rangers. It was, of course, that you went to after Swindon, and many Swindon fans, including me, were devastated when you left. The blow softened a little bit by the arrival back of Don Rogers, but how did that move to QPR come about?
Well, there was Dan, the manager, he said to me that he had an offer from QPR, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I don't think I scored as many goals in my last year of my career. It's Swindon I'm talking about, as I did the previous year. So I think I always wanted to get back in the first division. And it's the best thing I ever done, really. Not go to QPR, is go to Swindon, because you can always do something. It's a lower league, and try your best, and it might come off, and then you can progress to a higher league. I mean, it's difficult, but I had a lot of players to get into the QPR side with Don Shanks, the Irishman, Don Givens and Bowlesy, and there was a lot. Them two were sort of permanent fixtures, so it was an easy thing to get in there. But I was willing to challenge myself, really, and that's all I wanted to do, was challenge myself to get into a side, you know. And that's the same thing with Swindon, really. I always wanted to challenge myself to see if I could do it at this league. And when I was with Swindon, I challenged myself, and I did do well because I wanted to do well. And then I had to progress to, obviously, QPR.
Obviously, we've talked about that Swindon side, but you know, I reeled through some of the names, and it is one of my favourite teams, I have to say. I mean, what are your lasting memories of that team, would you say?
Well, my lasting memories was John Trollope, really. I think him, Frank Burrows, there were Swindon Town throughout. And you can't have many better players than that, with John and Frank. And, you know, they love Swindon throughout their careers. And it seemed to rub off on you, really. It's okay saying I'm from Wolves coming down here, but it seemed to rub off on you that you want to do well for the club. And we were so close, as you're saying, to getting promotion. There's only sort of millimetres in it, really.
I've got a thing here about. I'm just trying to know. Here we are. Oh yeah, from Stephen. Who was the best strike partner that played with, and why?
And why? Well, I've played with a lot of strikers, and I would say my best player was sort of Bob Latchford, coming on Graham Sharp. I mean, they were both very, very good players. And I think with Latch, you could do your own thing, and Latch only needed one chance. Whereas Sharpie, he used to, I think he was a bit younger when he came into the side, and he took a lot from me, I think, by holding the game play up and being unselfish, really. And he's really come on a bundle. Well, he did do, and he came on a bundle regarding his control and his ball control and, you know, ability to bring people into play. But Latch was an absolute finisher. So I'd say Bob Latchford, really.
This is from Terry. Ask Peter if he remembers having a shot that hit both posts and then came back into play. Eastoe, he says. Do you remember that?
I do, really. I think I do that. I couldn't believe that. I think I hit both posts and it come out, and I thought, how's that happen? And I just couldn't believe it, really. It's amazing. That's just brought back memories for me of sort of what I did do, and I thought, that's never happened before. And you don't often see that, but it did do, and I was quite pleased with that.
Many more comments coming in. I'm trying to get through them as quickly as possible. Most of them just saying simply, this from Jason, Eastoe. That chant will never die. I have to tell you, it goes on forever. Steve Barrett says exactly the same. From Kevin, simply says legend. So there you are.
Thank you very much.
This is from Nikki. Do you know much about the current squad? If so, who does he think could potentially be a future town legend? Do you keep in touch with Swindon's results?
No, I don't keep in touch with Swindon results, but I do look at them every Saturday or every midweek, and it interests me more than anybody. I look at all my clubs, really. I look at Wolves, Swindon, then on from there, QPR, and then Everton, really. All these clubs interest me more than... It's not just because they play in the Premiership that they interest me more than Swindon. I look forward to seeing all the results. And no, I don't look at the players as much as I should do, but I'm not really that much involved in football anyway now. So it's a bit different for me being 20 years on from not being involved in.
Yes. This is from Jim. Before the days of keeping shirts, do you have any STFC memorabilia? Have you got a Swindon shirt or?
It's funny that is, because I think I scored an hat-trick in one game, and I think the football's still in my attic. I did see it the other day because I've got the Christmas decorations, and there's a football up there, and I think it's signed, but it's not been blown up. But if I knew I was coming on today, I got up in the attic and brought it down here. But I'm sure it's from Swindon Town because I've never got a football from anywhere else, so it's got to be from Swindon.
This is from Pete. I bet Trevor Francis says his best strike partner was Peter Eastoe, and we wouldn't yeah. If we get him on, we'll get him on and ask him that very question. Right, let's keep on. There's lots more coming in. So if you want to leave a comment for Peter Eastoe, please feel free to do so in the section underneath. This is from Mark. Eastoe was the first chant I remember as a Town fan. Loved him as a player. Those West Ham Cup games were special. Now, let's go back to that one from Steve when he says about your twist and turn. How would you describe yourself as a player?
Well, I like to describe myself as unselfish, really. I think, and that's why I'm saying my 31 goals for Swindon was really special for me, because I wouldn't expect me to do that throughout my career. Yes, I'd lay more goals on for other people, which I enjoyed just as well as scoring. But the thing was, I scored 31 at Swindon, and blimey, I think I had a lot of help from different players to score them goals. And when they kept going up and up in the 10s and then 20s, you thought, blimey, there's a lot of goals. But I regard myself as unselfish, really.
As you know, Swindon are playing Man City in the third round of the FA Cup, and you scored against Manchester City for Everton, didn't you? A memorable goal, which you can still watch on YouTube, because I watched it the other day. You'll move to Everton then from QPR. How did that come about?
Well, I think the old manager, Steve Birkinshaw, he used to be Goodison at coach, and he came down to QPR to manage Rangers. I don't know whether he had connections there, but a couple of games before we played, QPR played Everton, and Steve brought me off, and I thought I was doing quite well. And Clive Allen, there was Clive Allen at QPR, and the other young lad, I forgot his name now, but he brought me off, and I was a bit upset about that. And but I had quite a good game a few months before that against Everton, and things worked out that they wanted me to go up there and have a chat to them. But Sunderland were involved in that as well, because they wanted to sign me, Sunderland, and I heard a whisper that Everton wanted me to sign. And so what I did, I went from QPR in Luton. I was at Luton living. I went to pick up my dad, and then we went off to Sunderland. But it was a long way to Sunderland. But in the end, I went across to Goodison.
Decent move for you, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a great move. The people at Everton and the people at Liverpool are fantastic. They're just really, really nice people, and I enjoyed every minute of it up at Goodison. Loved it.
The one thing I've noticed when looking through your career is you score goals. I mean, you had a lot of loan spells as well. Leicester, Huddersfield, Walsall, Leicester again, back to Wolves for a loan spell.
Yeah.
You scored goals everywhere.
Yeah, I think that was towards the end of my career, the doubling up on the Huddersfield, Wolves, that type of thing. But I went to Leicester, and Leicester were a very good club, and a very good club towards me. But unfortunately, I broke my jawbone in 2 places, so that didn't work out quite well. But I went back to West Brom then. So instead of going to Leicester and signing, I went back to West Brom, and a bit similar to the Swindon thing, really. And then I went back to Leicester.
Well, this is from Jason. Who was the toughest centre-back you played against?
Oh, I think there was a few. I think Dave Watson was a really tough player. He was a really hard player. And there's a few hard players in lower leagues, really, but I can't remember them at the moment. I mean, it's not just in the Premiership where they're tough. It's tough in the lower leagues as well. I think they just think about it more in the higher leagues, you know.
So that spell at Swindon there, we often hear about young players now getting loans. Swindon have got several young players on loan from Ipswich, Aston Villa, places like that. Yeah. How much of a learning curve is it for you when you step up to that sort of level?
Yes, yeah. I think it's a good thing for young lads. I think you got to. You're not going to get in the first team or the reserve, so you've got to think about yourself and say, well, I'm not going to get a game. I might get a game in like Swindon or Oxford or whatever, and then you progress from there. And there's a big thing in going in lower leagues and then saying I'll have a good go. Well, for instance, Harry Kane, he went on loan to somewhere, so I mean it did him the world of good. I'm not saying everybody's a Harry Kane, but what I'm saying is, you know, you get your confidence, I think you get your ability, and you think, I'm enjoying it here, I'll stay. So, and then whatever, you get a move or you go back to where you came from.
Well, David Beckham went out on loan as well, didn't he, in his early days at Man United? So went out and learned.
That's right. It's just a learning process. The football is a learning process. And now, as I said to you in my first bit of the interview, I played, as you say, England youth, and I was at Wolves reserves, but I didn't get that professionalism about looking after yourself, and that means he's whacked me across the chin, so I use myself to. I'm not saying whack somebody on the chin. I'm just saying look after myself, basically, and that's what all it is to it.
We often hear about the dark arts in football. I mean, is that the sort of time when you learn about those dark arts? Because, you know, they're out there, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't, it's a professional game. It's a professional game. You're looking after your teammates. You're looking after everybody, really. And you're looking after yourself initially. Because obviously I went to Swindon and didn't look after myself initially. He did me with an elbow, and I thought, wow, I've got to look after this. And it doesn't come overnight. It didn't come sort of when I went back on loan, I'll look after myself. It doesn't work like that. You just got to get into your professional game, really, and that's what it's all about.
Now, this is another one. When was the last time you were at the county ground, and would you come down and say hello if it can be arranged? Would you?
Yes. I mean, that's not a problem. That's not a problem for me. I did come down. Now you're talking. I think it might have been 4 years ago. I'm not sure about that now. I was offered. I think it was a do for. Is it Swindon Town's? I'm not sure what it was, but Willie Carson was there. Was it Willie Carson?
Yeah, he was chairman for a while. Yeah,
and it was a do I went down to, and I did go to the game. So I mean, that wouldn't worry me at all. No.
Well, I'm sure the supporters club might arrange an invite if you would like that at some point in the future.
That's okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, once we get over this.
Yes, we all want to get over it as quickly as we possibly can. Let's talk about your time abroad, because you did go to Portugal for a while, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. I went down on the Algarve. I had a good offer, really, because as you say, my career, I went to Leicester and then I went back to West Brom, Huddersfield, and when I was about 35, I think I was, and 34, 35, and I had an offer. Well, the only offer I had was Tamworth in the non-league. So I had Tamworth in the non-league, and I had an offer to go abroad, and I went abroad for 2 years. Well, it was 2.5 years. But I went abroad, and we got promoted to the first division, which was a bit more difficult. The older you get, the thing gets harder, really.
How different was it in Portugal? Is it a different sort of football? I mean, the pitches, I would imagine, were slightly better than the mud heaps in England, or were they?
Well, it was down on the Algarve. It was quite nice. The pitches were in excellent nick. But the football's a slower type of game. It's like, if you see a Portuguese game now, you can, it's just a little bit. Yes, they've got skillful players, and I think they're really skillful players. And we had a couple of Brazilian players, and you think, blimey, they're really good players. And but we got promoted. I think that's as far as we could go, in Sporting Club Friends. Yeah.
This is from Andrew. My first football hero used to copy his strut. Do you remember your strut? The way you ran? I mean, was it a style? How was it?
I don't know. It's just. I think it might have been Swindon Town giving me the confidence. Really, I mean, Swindon took me on, and that's what I. When you score goals, it's very easy to walk about with the strut. I mean, if you don't score goals, I think you're going through the not through the entrance. You go through the back entrance.
What many people might be interested in what happened to you after football, because as you said, you're not involved. You did manage briefly, didn't it? Nuneaton, I think.
Yeah, well, I didn't manage it in Nuneaton. What I went to in Nuneaton was John Barton, the right back at Everton. He managed, and he brought me in as helping him out really at Nuneaton. But I went to Alv Church's player coach, and it's a very hard thing to do. I went there. I went to Nuneaton, and then I played for Atherstone Town Football Club, which went quite well for us because we got promoted in that league. We got promoted, so I was quite happy for them. I think they knew what I could do, and I knew what I could do. I mean, when I was that age, I knew what I could do, and I could feed people in to score the goals, as I usually did do, really. And I think that's what they wanted me to do. And, things went quite well there.
So what are you up to now these days? What do you, what occupation?
I retired.
You've retired?
Yes, I was driving for this local company for 3 days a week, and I finished sort of in August because I had a few problems with my brother. Well, I didn't really, but my brother in Dordon, he's got Alzheimer's, and he had to go into a care home. So tomorrow I'll go and see him, and probably see him every 2 weeks. And things were getting on my mind. So when you're driving, I think the worst point was when I put diesel in a petrol engine. So I think something's gone wrong here. So, and that's what happened. I filled the tank up with diesel, and my mind wasn't on driving really. And thing was, my other brother died, so things went sort of. I've got to concentrate on sort of living my life now. So
yeah,
what I do.
Well, as a fellow retiree, I don't blame you, quite frankly. It's rather nice. It's quite nice. It's been lovely talking to you, and I genuinely mean this. You will know from the amount of people that have commented on this tonight just what great affection you're held in Swindon, and
Yes,
I hope that means a lot to you.
It does. Don't worry about that. It does. And I thank also all the supporters and everybody who's done this tonight. Thank them very much. Thank you.
Well, stay with us. We don't want you to disappear just yet, but we'll bring Chris back on. Oh, by the way, have a wonderful Christmas, Peter. What are your plans for Christmas? Oh, has he gone? Are you there?
No. Should have. Peter, are you still there?
Oh dear, it's frozen.
Oh,
no.
okay. I think it's. I just think it's frozen. He may well come back to us. So.
Oh, there he is. He's back
Oh,
again.
there we are. You back with us, Peter? Are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
No,
I think so.
You froze for a minute. Yeah. I just wonder what your plans are for Christmas. Well, we don't know what our plans are for Christmas yet, do we? So, what have you got planned? Is it a nice Christmas?
Is that to you, Chris?
No, to you, Peter.
Is that to me?
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are you doing for Christmas?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I've just lost you a bit. No, I've lost you a bit in thought, really. No, we're having a family Christmas. My daughter's having a big do with, I think there's three families, and that's enough, really. I think that's all we've got planned for. But it's just nice to get out and have a bit of a meal, isn't it, really?
It is.
I don't know what you two are doing. What are you two doing?
Well, you go on, Chris. Explain what you're doing.
I'm isolated at the moment because I've got COVID. So hopefully, touch wood, I'll be okay, and I'll just go to family on Christmas Day. So yeah, but I'm well, so I'm not feeling a lot of effects, so I'm okay. So it's all good.
Oh, good.
I just can't do anything. So yeah.
And we've just had we just had a granddaughter, so we're waiting to. I'm waiting to meet her for the first time, and hopefully she'll be around on Christmas Day, so that'll be quite nice.
Oh, lovely! That's lovely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you have a nice time anyway.
Brilliant.
And you.
Both of you.
Anyway, let's. I will sign off from this now. Thank you everybody for watching. Of course, thank you, Peter, very, very much. When I do switch off, don't go anywhere. Please stay where you are. We will come back to you after we come off the air. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for the well wishes as well that I've had through the messages. And we will see you next week. Next Monday, we will be doing a quiz. So if you're sat on your sofa with your turkey sandwiches and a beverage, please tune in and we will have a question.
You're invited to join in, Peter, if you wish. Yeah.
Right. So goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye.